Greetings, Principles of Marketing Humans. Welcome to Principles of Marketing video, and today we're going to have a little fun. We're going to talk about marketing research and how we define a problem. Now, the Motley Crue music you're hearing in the back room is Smoking in the Boys' Room. And the reason that we're smoking in the boys' room is that today I want to talk to you about one of the greatest product failures in the history of marketing, the Premier cigarette. So, in 1988, R.J. Reynolds, RJR, introduced a smokeless cigarette called Premier. So this is late 80s. This is long before the vape industry really came about, and smokeless cigarettes became a thing. This was sort of the first effort at it, and they brought this to market after about $325 million worth of development, which was a lot of coin in the 80s. And they test marketed it in a couple of different places, and one of them was St. Louis. Now, what does this have to do with problem definition? Well, there were a couple of reasons that it failed. The reason that you'll read about why it failed was that the product just didn't taste good and that the users didn't enjoy it. But that's not entirely true. This is an image of the Premier cigarette and how it breaks down, where you had a heating element in the front, here, and then you had a tube with nicotine and flavoring in it that the heating element would warm. And so it would never, this is as far as it would ever burn, right? And this tube, you would draw air through, and there was a filter, right? And you would get a hit of nicotine really without smoke. It was one of the first to try to do this. So this was introduced in a test market in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, at the time, I was teaching at Western Illinois University, which is in Macomb, about 4 hours north of St. Louis. And I thought, gosh, what a great example of test marketing. I'm going to go down to St. Louis one weekend and pick up a couple of cartons of them. They were cheap. I think they were 35, 40 cents a pack. And come back. And so I had planned on doing it this one particular weekend in the fall, but instead I had a Grateful Dead concert that I attended up in Chicago. I thought, no big deal, I'll go to the show, and then next weekend I'll come back. Well, by the next weekend, they were off the market, and they never came back. Now, why? Well, during product testing, they found out a couple of things. One, it didn't taste exactly like a cigarette, but if you lit it with a match, like a match out of a matchbook, it tasted really bad. I mean, like poop. If you used a butane lighter, it wasn't as bad, but the match was a big deal. You couldn't light it with a match. And so they spent a lot of time trying to get the taste right, but that isn't really what killed it. What happened was when someone was done with it, they would just drop it. And so you had this tube, right? Well, think about a tube that long that has a filter that you can smoke through. What else might that be good for? And particularly in St. Louis. Well, at that time, a drug called crack was making its way around the U.S., and people were using these used Premier cigarettes as crack pipes. And so after a while, there were literally hundreds of thousands of Premier crack pipes all over St. Louis. Well, that didn't go over very well. And so that was the end of it. Now, how does this relate to problem definition? Well, R.J. Reynolds defined the problem when they were doing research as taste. But I guarantee two guys in lab coats in a testing facility in Winston-Salem never had the conversation, you know, Bill, this would make a hell of a crack pipe. That didn't happen. So they actually didn't investigate the correct problem. And this problem jumped up on them during test marketing, and it's why the product never came to market. I was told a long time ago that a problem well defined is half solved. If you can define the problem perfectly, really understand what the problem is in marketing research, the research is easy. The rest of the process just flows. But if you don't define the problem right up front, everything you do after that is worthless. It makes no difference how good you are. If you don't define the problem correctly, you're going to get the wrong answer. You'll get the right answer to the wrong question. And so it's important when you talk about marketing research that the half of the issue is defining the problem correctly. Anyway, that's today's video, so I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.